Welcome back to Pirate Talk Radio. I am your host, Davrim, and life has recently tried to take me to the Fair of the Damned, but I denied it. Season 15 of Sea of Thieves is well underway. We have an introduction of new amazing sea beasts, new ways to grind, and progress to the golden age of Sea of Thieves as promised by the devs through their podcasts and dev updates. Well, maybe not so much the golden age, but maybe the bronze age at best. But we'll get into that shortly. I wanted to address first the last 2 months break from episodes and keep you all updated on what is going on in my life. As I've been trying to do in the past 2 episodes, since the cadence of the podcast has been broken for quite some time. Soon after the last episode launched, I became very, very sick with a bacterial infection in my respiratory system. This illness lasted almost a month. Because I refused to slow down and had to keep working, along with the challenges facing my family, I felt the best thing I could do was take some medication, rest, and then, well, I lost my job, which means can't afford medication and all of that stuff. Let alone I couldn't go to the gym or eat very well. And all this stress on my body from the infection and everything caused some pretty significant health concerns. I do appreciate everyone, however, sending me emails, sending me DMs, checking in on me as I had disappeared. But with all the stress, the loss of job, the family situation, the illnesses, not able to go to the gym, not eating a whole lot, what happened was my blood became very, very thick to a point where my blood pressure was at a point where my doctor told me that I was at a chance. And when I say a chance, I mean a level of chance that could happen at any moment to have both a heart attack and a stroke. So I was put on some blood thinners. I was basically ordered to bed rest for pretty much a month. And finally, after all these blood thinners and vitamins, I was finally able to have my blood siphoned and thinned out. And about, I would say, probably 3 weeks ago now, probably 2 weeks ago now, my doctor finally cleared me from that critical state of heart attack and stroke. So I was able to get back to the gym this last week, able to start eating more like I'm used to, and getting nutrients in me. I was able to get off bed rest. Now, doesn't necessarily reduce the stress of losing your job in the current family situation, but I am happy to announce that as of Friday, so a couple days ago, I did accept a new position that I'm very excited about, which should allow me to get back into a routine, get my mental health straight, and make sure my finances are stable. We still have the current ongoing family thing going on, but we'll get through that, and I trust that there's a brighter future. But getting back in the gym, not having to lay around all the time, and getting back to something that resembles a normal and relatively healthy life is something that I'm very thankful for. So to everyone who reached out to me, checking in on me, I know a few folks tuned into my most recent stream because I hadn't been streaming. It really does mean so much to me. So I wanted to take just a quick moment at the beginning of this to let you all know that I am okay. I am trying my best with the energy that I have. It's going to take some time to get that energy back from basically being out of commission and bed rest for a month. To thank each and every one of you who sent me those messages, emails, popped into the recent stream to check on me, and of course to the amazing patrons who continue to throw their hard-earned coins at me, even when I'm falling behind on a consistent episodes. Your love and support truly keep me pushing and fighting. So, thank you to the notorious and glorious patrons whose subscriptions make these shows possible. Skemelt666, Lcute, iGeffus, Big Bad Pad, and Jamer Gamer. thank you so much to each and every one of you. You guys have been champions hanging in there without the too much content going on out there. Not much at all from me recently. Appreciate that very, very much. And if you are interested in joining this elite group of people and get some pretty fucking cool perks, head over to patreon.com/DavrimTV and check out all the options there, starting as low as $1 a month. I want to start this Sea of Thieves discussion by rolling back the clock to just before Season 15. Season 14 was kind of garbage. We all know that. But it was clear to myself and other players that though there were some cool features of Season 14, it was a lackluster season, as there wasn't anything new to do. Along with the stability of the game and the servers suffering, there was just you got to hide on the edge of ships that didn't work for a long time. Like you got to turn yourself into little waddling chests. Like it was lackluster. And I understand that the concept of some of the things that they're trying to do is tools and stability and then content and then, in this rotation. And we'll get into some of the more, we'll get into some of that in a little bit. But I really think, again, that whole system is kind of shit, right? Like it's not working. Sure. You could Spider-Man swing across islands and get your revenge on snakes by killing them with purple poison that we all have suffered from our slithering friends over the years. But consistent lag, rubber banding, features being promised and then getting delayed. Season 14 was rough. The trend of improvement we keep hearing about seemed to continue to get delayed, like the mysterious mimic dart that didn't show up until the end of the season. Cool! I can now become a skeleton without having to take part in their god-awful and horrible game system of Hourglass. Hey, that's a cool thing, right? You don't have to play Hourglass to become a skeleton now. I'm okay with that. But Season 15 is going to be better, right? It's going to be better. It's got to be better. So let's first discuss the dev update that came with Season 15, where Drew spent almost 10 minutes reviewing what we should and can expect with the launch of Season 15 and what we should expect over the course of Season 15, February, March, and April updates. And I've broken this down into several parts, and we'll kind of go through each of these individually and what my different call-outs is on this. Drew says Season 15 will be a slow rollout of the Hunter's Call expansion over February, March, and April to control the quality of game performance, including utilizing and showing off their new multi-threading work that improves server performance. Now, for those of you non-tech geeks, multi-threading, it's about the processors, right? All these new processors, quadrillion cores of multi-threading performance and all that stuff. They're talking about the servers and the actual technology in the servers to make things work better. That's what he said before Season 15 launched. I think you all know where I'm going with this. To say that Season 15 launched with crispy clean servers that felt proper for a game turning almost 7 years old, as it seemed these new changes in multi-threading work would accomplish, it was like eating $500 of Taco Bell and saying that was healthy and it wouldn't make you shit yourself or end up in the emergency room. Servers felt no different at the start of season 15 than they did in season 14. Lag was there, rubber banding was there, and the promises of these changes continued to get delayed. We hear Drew talking about it time and time again. We've heard Joe talk about it, Mike talk about it, how important it is that we get these quality pieces right. And they're talking about showing off this brand new multi-threading thing, slow rolling the hunter call features over the course of 3 months in order to give us a quality release. Yet it wasn't a quality release. The server performance was not anything better than season 14. Arguably, what we're going to talk about next, it was worse than season 14. To me, Drew told me to look at the sky, and far, far, probably thousands of miles away, there was a little sparrow flying, and he said, "Look at the bird." It was a clear blue day, and I was squinting to try to see the tiny speck bird flying above. That was what they were talking about. They've ramped it up as if this was going to be some gigantic, gorgeous peacock of amazingness on the launch of 15 with multi-threading and server performance, and it was going to be great. We're going to see these amazing things. And then there was some speck up there in the sky that said, "Hey, look at that. Look how great it's going to be." And I'm like, I don't fucking see anything. Like, it's the same shitty world that we've been living in where servers just, shit themselves on $500 of Taco Bell. Following the launch of Season 15, Sea of Thieves had to perform emergency maintenance twice in a week due to reputation gain exploits. We're going to dive into that a little bit later. And right after that fix, they had to do another emergency fix for server crashing. It's just insane to me that they can't get this right. Like, we'll get into the exploits in a minute and why that is absolutely hilarious. But the fact that they implemented a fix to an exploit that then turned around, stopped players from getting gold, reputation, commendations, and caused their servers to crash is just mind-boggling at this point. 7 years and we still can't get something right. Funny enough, Rare's amazing communications team said they would fix these issues in time and just to enjoy the game. Sorry, your server is crashing and you're not getting anything for the time investment. I'll just go play something else. Thank you. Clearly the messaging from Rare was disrespectful, and its players and their players clearly fired back at them all over the internet. So instead of delaying that fix, they did that second hot fix to fix some of those items. It was the following day after the first hot fix. They resolved most of these issues and returned the game to a level of stability slightly worse than the launch, but hey, at least we're getting rewards and not crashing all the time, right? Drew also mentioned as part of Season 15, the team implemented fixes to exploits players were using to gain reputation and gold faster by manipulating voyages on the table to get their voyage on the same island they were next to. Remember a few moments ago when I said they had to fix exploits for Hunter's Call reputation? That was one of their fixes that they had to put into place. Season 15 came with what he said were fixes to exploiting. As I previously mentioned, soon after 15's launch, Sea of Thieves communication team admitted that there was an exploit where players were using to gain Hunter's Call reputation much faster than anticipated. What per se do you think this exploit was? It was voyage and map manipulation. That's right, the same exploit they claimed to fix in other voyages was not fixed with the brand new shiny Hunter's Call voyages. How in the 9 circles of hell do you miss this? Literally, this is a key talking point on your dev update, and you failed to take into account the new voyages when implementing this fix. Rare continues to blow my mind and others with not only their sloppy development work, but their complete lack of quality assurance to ensure fixes they implement not only fix existing problems, but don't cause new ones or affect the new content that they're releasing. It's literally product management 101. When you are putting through code and you're putting through iterations, making sure that this stuff does what it intends to do without negatively impacting other things or damaging your new stuff. And Rare shows time and time again, they just can't get it right. Hey, we fixed these exploits. Oh shit. The exploits now with the new thing that we just put in. Like, it baffles me that they cannot get this right. It just... Another point Drew made was they made multiple changes to the sandbox, which will be coming in Season 15's launch, and monthly updates, including limiting the Burning Blade spawn rate, because its assets, remember that word, assets, are causing server performance issues. We're talking about the Burning Blade World event right now, right? They're also going to be implementing changes of how treasure is spawned on sunken ships and future implementations of new wildlife across the world. Burning Blade, how treasure spawns and exists in the world, and in future implementing new wildlife to make the world feel more alive, most likely playing into the Hunter's Call in some way, shape, or form. Because remember, we're building on the Hunter's Call throughout Season 15. It's not just a set it and forget it. We're building on it, right? So in previous Rare discussions, it has been mentioned that they are capping out the capacity of their servers with assets. That's treasure, ships, events, mobs, monsters, pirates, ships being the big one, right? And they're actively working on reducing assets or changing assets to help improve server stability. The change to the Burning Blade spawns makes complete sense with this goal. However, the Burning Blade has been in existence for 2 seasons with no meaningful action on this. 2 seasons, the Burning Blade has existed, and they have not done anything about this. So, please help me understand how something that's causing server performance issues has been able to exist in its current state for 2 seasons. That is 6 months. That's half a year. Half a year. The Burning Blade has been in existence with no changes that have been publicly announced to help with server performance. Now all of a sudden it's a big issue. How was this overlooked? How was this missed? We have had Season 14 complete shit show of server performance. Season 13 problems with server performance. Now all of a sudden, oh, well, the Burning Blade's causing this. It's been half a year. How the fuck don't you see this? Notice it, see it in your logs. You have to have logging. You have to have some sort of dashboard showing things. Like there should be a giant ass dashboard on server performance. And when that Burning Blade hits, it should literally tank the performance to a thing that pops a red flag and be like, oh, what just happened on that server? Why did these servers, oh, the Burning Blade just spawned. Huh. Maybe we should fix that. I don't know, when it came out in Season 13. Not 2 seasons later, not, a half a year later, making changes to this. It's just mind-boggling at the utter failure of this company when it comes to development. Now, I'm glad they're doing something about it. Thank God the servers are shit. Thank God they're doing something about it. Thank God they're making adjustments to treasure spawning on shipwrecks. Thank God they are adjusting this stuff to make the servers playable. Oh, wait. Hold on. Assets are causing server issues. Don't worry. We're introducing new wildlife. The introduction of new wildlife across the seas makes absolutely no sense. I understand, absolutely understand the concept of making the world feel more alive. I've talked with Logan about it on the Keelhole podcast. Making Port Merrick should still be Golden Stands. I fucking hate that port. Making that feel alive. It's literally a small city, right? It's supposed to be an evolved city, right? The sovereigns have come in. These capitalistic business people have come in and invested, and we now have what seems to be the Sea of Thieves equivalent of like the start of a Nassau. If you are New Providence Island, if you are a fan of history, we have this, and it just feels dead because we don't have anything new there. We have the same NPCs. They're spread out further, and so it feels dead. You get on some islands, and it feels like you're on an abandoned island. Sometimes you sail through the seas, you don't see ships, you don't get Kraken, you don't see a Meg, you don't get anything, and it feels dead. So I completely understand trying to introduce new wildlife and things to make the world feel alive. I get it. However, when your game is in a state of absolute disrepair on the basic foundations of server stability, and you have openly said multiple times part of that issue is the assets in our game, how on earth can you just sit in front of people and say, hey, we know the game servers suck and it's because of assets, but we're going to put more assets in? Like, how with a straight face can you say that's a good idea? How Joe Neat is now leading, Rare over there. How can he say that's a good idea? I'm sure he's part of these. He has to be watching the dev updates. If he's not, he's doing a disservice to his team. But he has to understand, like, the problem they are outwardly telling everyone is assets, and we're going to introduce new assets. Like, you can't have you can't have everything. You can't have what you want when players' gameplay is suffering. We, the players, are the ones who make your game last. If we are not here enjoying your game fucking dies. And they're not getting it. They have strung us along for year after year with combat bullshit, with their pushed narrative of pretty things and lore over performance of the game. And it's just not cutting it anymore. We're going to talk more about Drew's discussions of putting Rare's ideas and goals for the game behind performance in a little bit, but adding new assets in a game which already has tax servers due to assets is by far one of the most hypocritical decisions I have ever heard from Rare in a very long time, if ever. Clearly, the leaders pulling the strings in the development department of Rare on that dev map are still focused on what they want and not a healthy and long-lasting game the players enjoy and can stand playing. If you didn't think that was a big enough facepalm moment, here's another one. Drew said, you're going to love this, especially all you graphics nerds out there. You're going to absolutely just shit yourself on this one. If you didn't hear the dev update, I would be surprised if you watch the dev update and you're a big techie gamey nerd, which most of us are, you shit yourself or laughed out loud or spit your food on your monitor. Here, let me just wipe mine off a little bit. Here, I got a little on the camera there, a little smudgy smudge. Drew said that with research, they have found that if you run Sea of Thieves above 120 frames, you will get performance issues. And the higher your rig can go, the worse it gets. Now I'm going to quote from Drew here. We don't want to limit players, but we will if you keep reporting performance issues due to your settings choices. Let me repeat that again. We don't want to limit players, but we will if you keep submitting performance issues due to your setting choices. I have firmly believed and talked that Drew's addition to a more public role over the past year has been a nice, has been nice, and he has said, he said a lot of great things, and I personally feel like he means them. I feel that he has been able to get some things executed that others just put by the wayside. I have felt that him in this position is right for the game. However, this statement about your setting choices is a classic, rare statement that is so disappointing. Players will always, let's just make this broader for software in general or whatever. Users will always do what you, the developer, allow them to do with your code. And we are in an age of hardware that is more powerful than ever. PCs are ridiculously powerful, and consoles every generation are growing more and more powerful. They will never ever, to my understanding and from what I've seen, consoles will never beat the high-end computers. It's just not possible to fit that much power in a small compartment. But every generation of consoles are just raising that bar for the players who enjoy the experience on a console. And PCs are absolutely asinine now as far as what they can do. I have said for a long time that players, that many others that in Sea of Thieves have said this, they need to begin sunsetting support for the old Xbox systems. Sea of Thieves is a flagship title for the Xbox. And the fact that you can't support the latest generations of hardware, even though your code allows it, is a joke. If you go into your settings in Sea of Thieves on a PC or Xbox, I assume it's on Xbox as well, but if you go into the settings and PC, you can unlock your frame rate. You can set that frame rate above 120. But according to Drew, 120 is the highest you should go in Sea of Thieves without expecting degradation to your performance. Their code, Drew, Sea of Thieves, your code allows players to go above that. But you don't support it. So why do you give us the option? Why do you allow your players to degrade their performance knowing that your shit code cannot work at levels that players can choose to use? It's not the player's hardware that's the problem. It's your code. Sea of Thieves is still being developed to work on the Xbox One, a console which was released in 2013, just over 4 years before Sea of Thieves launched in the spring of 2018. That's now 11 years old. That is ancient in terms of gaming, computer, and hardware. In comparison, and we're going to stay with Microsoft here, in comparison, Windows 10 was launched in 2015. And in October of this year, 2025, is considered end of support by Microsoft. That's 10 years. That's 1 year less than the Xbox One. And Microsoft themselves are ending support for Windows 10. Now, you'll still be able to use Windows 10. You just won't get any new patchings and fixing, which means your computer and everything's going to be opened up to security risk and hackers and that kind of stuff. And if there's a compatibility issue with software, they're not going to patch it anymore. It is now on you, the user, because they've been popping things up on your screen forever that says, hey, this is end of life. You need to go to Windows 11. Microsoft themselves have a development cycle which end-of-life software to push you to upgrade. A lot of times it's a free upgrade unless you have to upgrade your hardware to support it. However, Sea of Thieves refuses to stop developing on old, out-of-date shit. And this is no offense to the folks out there who are still having an Xbox One. But at the end of the day, the world moves forward. The new Xbox Series have came out, and you are on a piece of hardware that's 11 years old. You can't expect game developers, or you shouldn't expect game developers, to continue to work on old, outdated equipment. Save some money. You've had 11 years. You should be able to save a little bit each year to get yourself a new one. But in a business sense, blaming your player base for choosing a setting that you don't support but allow the players to use because you refuse to sunset support and development on an ancient piece of hardware is a joke, Rare. Do you hear that? You're a joke at this point of a development company, because even your overlords, Microsoft, does that with their flagship platform, Windows. I understand that Rare want to allow all players to continue to enjoy the world, but there needs to be a life cycle to allow the continued stability and growth of the game following the hardware that is out there in the wild. On a public relations stance, which, by the way, Rare is awful at, their communication, PR, social media team is a shit show of a team. Like, it's one of the worst communication teams that I've ever seen in my almost 2 decades in business, of which a quarter of those were working with Fortune 500 companies on how to effectively communicate and provide customer service and marketing through social media. I have a little bit of knowledge about that. But public relations and the communication in this video coming from Drew, blaming players for using settings in the fucking game to adjust their refresh rates to sub 120 because that's what Rare has maxed this game out to support currently, is just sad. You don't blame the players for your lazy ability to code. If the game is not compatible for max performance on rates past 120 frames, then as a smart, person, we're going to say developer here because I'm sure they're smart people. I've met many of them. They are. A smart developer, you lock the max frame rate that gives players the best experience with the game, with the hardware that supports that frame rate. This was a very disappointing and sad stance taken by Rare and stated by Drew. I expected, and I've seen so much more out of Drew than I've seen out of Joe and some of the other folks that are on the podcast. Like, in my mind, Drew was a great choice for this, and he has done a fantastic job. And in my mind, we have a Sea of Thieves that is moving forward and seeing some progress because of him. But this, if I would have Drew, I would have been like, no, I'm not saying this. This is bullshit because it's our fault. And you want me to say what? Like, if I was Drew, I would literally have walked into Joe Neat's office, slammed that script down on his table and said, you either rewrite this or you can blame the players, because this, my friend, is bullshit. And I would have walked out the room. The laziness in their programming and the lack of ability to develop a future-proof feature and understand the code that they've already released to ensure that what they're giving players is giving them the best functionality possible. It's just laziness. And the fact that now you are blaming us is, I mean, you're now crossing lines where mini games in the past, when they start running out of, like, we want to do this, but the players are still bitching. Like, why are they still bitching? Well, maybe you should listen to them. But Rare is still, we are getting to a point now where Rare is firing back at players for their issues, for Rare's issues and laziness. This is getting to become a problem, because this is when you start seeing games really start to fall apart. When the studios continue to fail and they start blaming the players for their failures. Now, before we wrap up part 1 of this look at Season 15, there will be a second part that will be out next week. There's one more topic that people have asked me both on stream and on social media to weigh in on. Drew mentioned that Rare is going to be expanding their team, and they're going to be adding a new player-driven QA team, as it's clear that they need more quality testing than Insiders provides. He said they will be hiring experienced players as Rare staff, so on the payroll, who will be used to test pre-insider builds, play test insider feedback, and test and provide feedback post-update update launches. The idea is great. The idea is awesome. But I have mixed feelings on it. First, this is a great idea, and it's an amazing system that I have spoken about for quite some time to get better feedback directly from players. However, these will be Rare employees, not insider volunteers. Insider volunteers have no real incentive to provide quality testing on the game. Sorry if you're a dedicated insider, but you know most of your ranks will just log in and get their 1 hour to claim their reward, and they're done. They won't use the forums. They won't provide feedback. And furthermore, even if you do provide feedback, there's clearly not a good ability of Rare to collect that feedback, get it in front of developers, and make changes before a live build goes out. There has been many instances. I have several friends in the community that tell me after a something comes out and I rail on it on the podcast, they said, "Yep, we reported that on Insiders and it just never got changed." So clearly, Insiders are doing their volunteer work, some of them, but the Rare staff is just not looking at it. It's not bubbling up properly. It's not getting the attention that needed. So maybe if we have players whose job and livelihood is like incentivizing them to do good work on top of just, hey, we want this game to be good. This is good. It's your job. You get paid to do this. So do it right. If not, we'll find someone else. I think if Rare executes the hiring process properly and actually listens to this team and makes meaningful adjustments to their code based on the feedback, this could be a huge win. The biggest win for Sea of Thieves and the players, such as you and me, in the history of this game. However, I've watched the staff of Rare for a while. I've met many of them in person. I've exchanged emails and chats with them. I don't believe the hiring will be done right. From my interactions with Rare, they're a boys and girls club. They like yes people and people who boost their egos. They don't like people who criticize and put their work and game down. Why do you think they won't ever accept an interview on Pirate Talk Radio? Why do you think I've never got the silly blue hat or highlights on their social media or website? People who have brown nose to rare, bow down to rare, are the ideal candidates they're looking for. You need players with thousands of hours of gameplay, all aspects of the game. You need PvP focused players. You need PvE focused players. You need lore hounds. But most importantly, you need people who will be vocally critical of the game, but who also understand software development and can celebrate and tell Rare when they did a good job. I know. You all want me leading this team. And trust me, I would in a heartbeat. But they would never hire me. Because I would be that vocal critic. Sure, I will give credit where credit's due. Listen to part 2 of this. You'll see I give credit where credit's due. But I also would not give a damn to crush their hopes and dreams and their code as I'm going through and testing things. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. I have a strong voice. And because of that, I have mixed reactions in the business community. Some stand up and they're like, this guy's a good boss, this guy's a good coworker, this guy's a good peer. And I have others that's like, this guy's an asshole. I can be both. But it's the same thing. In the past, in one of my previous jobs, I was oftentimes found in leadership meetings, including with the CEO of a company. It was a Fortune 500 company. And the CEO was going on and on and on about this great idea, this amazing idea that was going to generate us so much money. And he was going around the table asking what everyone thought of his slideshow, what everyone thought of the idea, and wanted to get everyone on board. People around the table, yes, that's a great idea. Yes, we can do that. Yes, this is awesome. This is great. And I said, this is wrong. This is not our brand. This is not what our customers want. And this will cause a downfall of ridiculous proportions for our company. Of course, in a room full of yes men, the idea went through. I would like to note that I no longer work for that company, not because I stood up and vocalized disdain or disagreement with the CEO, but because these ideas that I had spoken out against were implemented. That company is now bankrupt and has been liquidated, which means it doesn't exist anymore. And those decisions were the decisions that I fought vocally against. This is what's going to happen with this QA team. I don't care if it was Mike Chapman in the meeting, who I respect, and I think he's a great person. Don't care if it's Joe Neat, who I think is a cool dude and had a great time meeting him. I don't care if Phil Spencer or even big boy daddy Bill Gates is sitting in that room. If you're making stupid decisions, your code is lazy, it is not working, your servers are trash, and you continue to push new shit before you fix old stuff, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to say this is a bad idea, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that is what this team needs, and that is the type of leader that needs to lead this team. Someone who can sit toe-to-toe with these guys who think pretty things and cool new content and story should trump basic foundations of combat, sailing the ship, and server performance. That's the voice that this team needs, and it's the voice that they're not going to get. I don't believe Rare wants that vocal critic. I believe they will handpick people who are active on social media through their dumbass Sea of Thieves shot contest. They're active in their Discord, or they're Sea of Thieves partners in the mid to small size content creator space. These folks are looking for stable income where they can continue to play the game they love, and many of them want to be in the gaming industry. But if you don't believe my guess is accurate, that's fine. Drew said during the dev update that recruiters were already reaching out to candidates, which means they have targeted people they are looking for. Go check the Rare job postings. They don't have anything about this position. To be fair, I haven't been stalking the page, but normally when you are dealing with a large company like this, like Rare, like Microsoft, jobs are posted for a little while. I also didn't see anything on social media or Discord advertising the job postings, so you be the judge. But my educated guess, based on my professional experience, is they have a list of people that they want, and they don't want this to be a public posting or hired based on who would do the job best, but the people they like and that won't vocally challenge the direction of the current development map. Whoever these people are, yes, they will be able to provide needed and critical game feedback to Rare that is not currently being delivered by the Insiders program. But I believe the direction of the game will still be focused around the direction Rare wants to do, and not based on the player, QA, team, feedback, and suggestions, or what the larger player base has been screaming about for years. Even in the best situation, if you had a critical player testers leading this effort with a strong voiced leader who doesn't care who he's talking to, but cares about the players and the game that he's testing, it would still take Rare the dev cycles, knowledge, and ability to execute the fixes. I still firmly believe 7 years into this game, too much poor coding damage has been done. And the only way we are going to get a strong, stable game is if we get Sea of Thieves 2, which is not happening. Thanks, Everwild. That's going to do it for part 1 of Season 15's review. You can find me on Blue Sky at Davrim. Yes, Twitter is gone. Facebook is gone. Instagram is gone. Threads is gone. Yes, my accounts are still out there, but I am not active on those platforms anymore. They've been removed from my phone, my tablets, my computers. It's all gone because let's be honest, the fucking assholes who are leading those companies and who are driving my country into the ground. I won't get this in political. I'll tell you in a minute how you can find my thoughts on that. Not Blue Sky, a little bit on Blue Sky, but I can't be a number for them. So all those are gone. You can find me now on Blue Sky at Davrim. You can also join our Discord. The links are always in the show notes. And you can check out, here's where you can get into the fun stuff. You can check out the new Substack that I just started, repeatinghistory.substack.com, which is my look at current events and will have essays about history. Follow me, twitch.tv/Davrim, and you can always email the show, Pirate Talk Radio podcast@gmail.com. Folks, thank you very much for your patience in this episode. Thank you very much for your support. Again, I apologize. Life has not been where I wanted it to be. It has not been kind to me the past year, but more so the past couple months. But you guys make it all worth it when I can get these out. Remember, this is part 1 of Season 15 review. Part 2 will be out next week, unless you're a patron, of which you're going to get part 1 and part 2 right when part 1 releases. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you next time on Pirate Talk Radio.